Hi, I'm Justin Wink, Ph.D., and you're listening to the Engineering Emotions and Energy Podcast. Are you ready to bust burnout, pursue your passion, have more time, money, energy, and relationships you actually love, including the relationship with yourself? If so, then this podcast is for you. I'm a best-selling author, coach, consultant, speaker, and a leader in transforming people's lives from living in fear, obligation, and guilt to living a life of joy, ease, and love. What's most important is that I can teach you all this in a way that's enjoyable, easy, fast, and can actually last. Let's begin. Welcome to the show. So great to have you here. Hope you've been having a fantastic 2024 so far, and you're looking forward to a fantastic Valentine's Day, which is a great time to reflect on what you love about life. And it doesn't have to just be about loving another person or does another person love you. It can really be about what do you care about. And today's episode gets into some of that. It's going to be really cool. It's another joint episode with Nicole and Mickey as we do another sort of joint podcast with the @Mickey SDT show. And do want to have a little announcements for you guys. As some of you probably already recognize, we're doing the show a little bit less frequently here in 2024, every other week. That's because I have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to get some really great things prepared, ready for 2024. So not going to announce those until they're fully ready. Don't want to be like Zoolander and, tease you too much about, was it Blue Steel? Was that the one that, the look, because he had a few looks like Magnum and Blue Steel and La Tigre, and I think Blue Steel was the one he was about to reveal at the end, and then finally he reveals it. It's like, but he was maybe teasing people for a little long time. But again, remember, he didn't spell so good, so Zoolander not the best. So I might be as good looking as Zoolander, but I'm not going to emulate him as far as strategy and marketing and things like that. So got that coming. And so as far as, some love, if you're looking to find ways to love your life and the people you're with, or maybe you don't have people you love and you're looking to find them or find ways to love them, or love your job more, I highly recommend my Amazon best-selling book, Engineered to Love, Going Beyond Success to Fulfillment. It's also available as an audiobook on Audible. And if you subscribe to Spotify, you can listen to my audiobook for free. So just look up my name, Justin Wink, W-E-N-C-K, or look up Engineered to Love, or go to engineeredtolove.com, and you can do that. So love yourself, love me. Really is about finding what allows us to enjoy things more. And now I kind of want to talk a little bit about what you're about to listen to, what we get into. So Mickey's going to be talking a little bit about his German culture and how, and I agree because I lived in Germany for a time, how Germans are really kind of upfront with their emotions and what's going on, and that compared to this Americans that, and again, when you're in it, you don't recognize it. But when you go to other cultures and come back, in America, we kind of keep our feelings on the down low. We don't really give too much. There's the business saying a little bit about like, hey, we might go full kimono, which is about opening up the kimono and letting people show what you got going on underneath. We usually keep that kimono very closed, then put another robe and then maybe a big hat on, and then we go inside. And so we talk about that. And then Nicole and I, we also start chiming in about our experiences of different cultures, from travels from South Korea to Spain, and the joy and perception of contentment that we start learning from all of our travels and things like that. Then we get into talking about mindfulness and its role in the pursuit of happiness, and just how when you sort of really get into just being here, which sometimes just is forced upon you when you travel, yet you can focus on being here and now, wherever you are, and that really just gives a gateway into a little bit of a slice of happiness, kind of no matter what's happening, no matter where you are. And then we wrap the show by getting into a little bit of what I'm talking about, one of the things I'm really good at is neuro-linguistic programming, and also the concept of self-love. So we talk about that. And, one of the questions is this is something you can start to consider right now. And then when we talk about it, you'll probably already be like, okay, I'm with these guys. Is fill in the blank with the following sentence. Being happy is blank to me. Now, whatever you fill that in with, and the less you think about it, the better. The more of just whatever pops into your head, it's going to give you a really, really good insight into your beliefs and your aspirations. And so then we get into talking about the role of love in our lives. And we finally end the episode with some little transformational wisdom you can carry into your journey into living a more joyful life. Because it's one thing to have some impact, yet wouldn't it be even more amazing if you have impact while enjoying the time you have that impact? So cozy up and let us accompany you on this adventure into the quest for human happiness. Thank you and enjoy the show. Mickey, take it away.
Hi, listeners. Thanks for joining. Today, I'm again with Justin, and also Nicole is on board. And we want to continue our interesting discussion. So, hi, guys. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Here, it's super cold in Chicago, unfortunately, but I'm sure it's really warm. In California, I take you're wearing like a t-shirt, obviously. So I'm sure you're enjoying the beautiful humid weather in California.
It's definitely beautiful. It's sunny. For me, it's probably cold. If I was going to go outside, I would put on a jacket, but I'm inside where I'm keeping it a little cozier. But it is gloriously sunny right now, which is great. We did have a little rain a couple days ago, but yeah, for me, it's probably to you. You'd be like, "No, this is like bathing suit weather. Let's get
Right.
bring out the bikini and the swim trunks and
Exactly.
let's go." But for California person like me, I'm like, ooh, yeah, stay in, wait for it to get a little warmer.
Exactly. Very
Yeah,
cool.
good to be back on. Good to be back with you guys. So good. Yeah, it was fun. Our last talk, and I know we got a lot of fun things to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So which topic were we going to get into first?
I think you were discussing about happiness, correct? I think that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm a little curious on because you guys are pretty well traveled, but just what's the general happiness of experiences of different countries and of maybe our own country where we grew up. So I'm definitely curious on Mickey, because I think last time we learned that Mickey's German, right? And so there's, at least for the typical American thought of Germans is like, oh, they're a dour, unhappy people, which when I actually lived there, I'm like, this is kind of the most untrue in practice. I think Americans, we're thought of as being like happy people. Yet I think that's a show that we're actually putting on. And I think most of us are actually, most Americans are very, very unhappy, and that it's a lot of work. We put in a lot of work to be as less unhappy as possible. And I don't know, I think we just kind of maybe go around to that. And then also maybe other countries you've been to where it's like, these people are so happy. It's just a delight to go to this country because these are just the happiest people on earth. It's not Disneyland. It's whatever this country is.
Okay, so you put me on the spot. So first of
Absolutely.
all, I mean, there's a big difference between where I was born and the United States, is that we are actually honest. So if you would ask someone like, hey, Justin, how's it going? And even maybe you don't feel good, you would say, I'm fine, right? In German, then you would say, no, I'm not feeling good, right? Because I'm not feeling good today for some reason, right? And we are more frankly, that's the word, right?
Yeah.
And then regarding traveling, so I was blessed that my parents, even we traveled only maybe just in Germany or maybe just to Italy or to the countries around Germany, but we traveled a lot. So as a child, I was always on the road with them. And so I got the flavor of traveling, and I liked it because not only that make me happy that I see different things. And I remember they brought me every Christmas to the Black Forest, and we enjoyed to do walking in the snow and walking in the forest. And in the summer we enjoyed to scrape blueberries, right? So I mean that was my childhood. That's how all this travel bug started for me.
Feeling overwhelmed by the daily grind? Imagine if you could pause, reset, and truly connect with a calmer, more fulfilled you. It's not just a dream, it's absolutely possible. Hi, I'm Justin, and I invite you to discover the life-changing techniques in my book, Engineered to Love. Right now, I'm offering a free chapter complete with guided audios that have already helped so many people find peace amidst the chaos. These aren't just any techniques. They're transformative practices designed to help you love yourself and engage deeply with the present moment, without even having to close your eyes to the world around you. So join us at engineeredtolove.com/sample and access your free guided session. It's time to bust the busyness and embrace the joy, ease, and love in your everyday life. Don't wait. Start your journey to a more relaxed and recharged you today, because you deserve to live a life you love. Visit engineeredtolove.com/sample. See you there. I love that because it sounds like a lot of things you listed off were just experiences with nature and with people. There was no, big expenditures or no objects really. I think there is something to that honesty of when we can actually say, like, I'm not happy, I'm having this challenge, or this is something I don't like. It actually leads to more happiness because, there's so much of a habit, at least in my experience, of just, well, I got to say I'm fine. Or if somebody says, is it okay if I do this? Just go, yeah, it's okay. And I recently had that experience where somebody said, it was like, oh, I'm going to smoke some weed and some tobacco. Do you want any? And I was just like, oh, no, I don't want any, but it's totally okay if you do. And then like an hour goes by and I'm just like, this is not as fun for me, or there's something off with the connection. And I realized, like, that was not okay. I didn't want to be around somebody doing that, but I didn't say it. Yeah. So kind of like this, the honest thing. I think it is actually, I think it helps for more honesty. I don't know, Nicole, what's your experience? Or go ahead, Mickey.
Let's hear. No, sorry, Nicole, but I want to say something to this. Where I was born, there is carnival every year. You know, this carnival concept where they're actually having parties for a couple of days. And one, I made the experience that when I went there, I had not the alcohol level like all the people I was around me. And then I felt the same what you said, like just before that the guy smoked his weed and his tobacco, and you didn't feel good because he was not on the same level, right?
Right.
Definitely. So I think personally, I agree with Mickey because even my friend told me that most German people are very honest. And I met a lot of them in Thailand, and I would just ask them like how their day is going. And they're like, no, not really good. Like at the time they were traveling around Thailand. They weren't like able to speak Thai. They're like, oh, we're having difficulties because we don't know the language. And we got ripped off by like this Thai taxi driver. So I was like, at least like they're honest. Cause I feel like if I was in the USA, it's like, oh, how's it going? They're like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. But in reality, like nothing's really fine. Like something is deep down, like bothering that person, but we're so scared to say it because we're afraid that other person's like going to perceive us as like not stable or something's just going on in their life. So that's at least like my take on it. But I think in terms of like the happiest place I've been to has to be Spain and Mexico for sure. Because I know like he's like living in like Madrid, and again, like he's talking about different festivals. They have all these festivals like in Spain. Like you never even know when these festivals are. They just happen like randomly, and like these random like puentes are like long like weekends, like 2 or 3 day weekends. People aren't working, so it's definitely place people like they celebrate a lot. They have a lot of festivals, and I know we have that in the USA, but it's not as many. It's like for 4th of July, it's Memorial Day, Memorial Day parade, but it's like more of like an honor, you know what I mean? So I feel like in Spain you just celebrate, and it's really interesting because I feel like in the USA you celebrate when someone gets married or they have a baby or something like that, but not when someone leaves their toxic job or they have like a toxic boyfriend or girlfriend. So people need to like really start celebrating like the little wins in life, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it totally does. And I'm like a weird person when someone says like, oh, I just got divorced. I read them a little bit, but most people that I'm actually from, I go, congratulations, this is great. Like, what an opportunity. And they're like, oh, thank you. So everyone's usually like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I couldn't stand being there or at that job or anymore. And yeah, it's funny you bring up the festivals and the carnivals because it's like we do have them in the US, but I feel no joy going to any like a street fair or a fest because they're usually busy and then it's usually just about consumption, like, spending a lot of money on food, spending a lot of money on stuff. And I'm just like, I just don't enjoy being where those of you that maybe get a chance to see like these videos, like Nicole is just like lighting up thinking about these festivals in Spain. It's just like yeah. And I'm just like, I can't think of going to something in the US where I was just like, and it was so good going to this random thing. It's like, only if it's maybe like a wedding or something like that, and I actually know and like the person, then it can be joyful. Otherwise, it's usually just like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. I guess you're supposed to go to these things. And
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes it gets like out of hand because people get like really like they become like alcoholics. They're like it's starting to fight or whatever. It's really crazy. It
oh
depends
yeah.
obviously where, but that's just like you never know. And I guess I also have the fear because I remember it was a long time ago in like Las Vegas, they had like that shooting at the music festival or at a concert. So I guess like in the USA, you never know when something could happen. And you always have to like live with that sense of fear. And I hate that because in Europe, you don't have that, or Asia, you don't have that at all. In South America, yeah, you do. That's the one thing that is quite similar to the USA. But in Europe, no, in Asia, absolutely not. It's super safe in Asia. So
Yeah, and it's one of those, it's like it's a feeling that it's just like you go and it's just like, wait, I'm going down like an alleyway, it's like nighttime and I feel okay. Like it really is just like this feels okay. Which is yeah, in most places of the US it's like I do not feel okay. I want to not be here anymore. I want to be home.
right.
Yeah. So
Another
Spain's yeah, go ahead, Mickey.
another story from Madrid, what I found that these people they really like to celebrate outside, right? So I mean, there was there was a concert like from nothing famous, and I just want to check it out. But on my way to there, I found so many parties close on the river, like small groups. They had their music playing, and there was really they celebrated in the summer, right? And but the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, the most amazing thing I found, like 5 o'clock in the morning, some people came out of the club and they just went to the park and then they celebrated in the park and playing loud the techno music. I found that very interesting, right? So this is what that was not in the summer, that was actually in autumn, right? So where the temperature is not so hot, right? And then also they have dancing on the street, so like they're teaching here on close to a church, bachata and salsa. I mean, this is like these people know how to celebrate whenever they can, right? So this is the magic of Madrid. I haven't seen that in Barcelona. I mean, maybe that's somewhere else in Spain, but I have seen it only in Madrid, right?
Hmm. I'm kind of wondering if some of this happiness of observations around the world, if we could maybe tie into mindfulness, because I know Nicole wanted to talk about mindfulness, but I kind of wonder if there's a little like the more mindful that people are of their state and their desire, or of what they're enjoying and being okay and going with that, allows for more spontaneous expressions of true happiness, true joy, as opposed to sort of what I'll observe is like almost it's like a manufactured, packaged happiness where it's like, oh yes, dancing is happy, but I must do drinking or drugs in order to get into the state to be able to do that. And there's not a real connection to the self or the real feelings. It's like I'm gonna get this done on a schedule.
I was also
Okay.
thinking too as well, maybe it's like cultural because Lisa, like in South Korea, like the Koreans are like Americans. They work so hard. And maybe they're obviously making less than like Americans, but like they work a lot. The thing is, like in Korea, when I lived in Korea 2 years ago, like I remember I like went to a restaurant after work. I finished work after 6 p.m. I was working like nonstop too as well. And people would just be drinking and drinking and drinking like 6 or 7 shots of like soju. Like older men would just be drinking their problems away. But people there are like extremely stressed out. Like they just have a lot of like problems and whatnot, right? In terms of like working hard and that kind of thing, a lot of stress. But then like in Spain, people make way less money than in Korea and USA. But I feel like there is a higher level of happiness in a sense. Maybe they just think, maybe they just don't think about money all the time. They think about their friends, their family, their loved ones, and they just don't even like, I don't know. I just feel like they just don't really care much about money, you know, or like getting rich or like building a lot of capital to become like the most richest person. But like in the USA, it is very true. People talk about money all the time here. At least that's like my take since I've gotten back. But yeah.
Yeah. It's like people do and they don't. It's like they talk about it in a way, but also it's also avoid in ways that are probably like actually productive. Like, like, well, does that actually make you happy or or how are you going to go? But yeah, there is like a weird, that's also like the America's, deal with sex as well. It's like, it's not talked about yet. It's also everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It's just, we're quite amazing in a lot of ways. Yeah, there's something because I was going to say that for like a really happy country, I found like Bali, like just the joy with like, they just make magic with whatever there is. And it can just be with the nature or whatever. But yeah. And yeah, where it's just, they seem to enjoy the relationships, the nature, just being. And it's not so much like, well, when I have something else, when something else comes up, then I can be happy. It's just like, I'm up, I'm happy. This is great. Yeah.
So let's try here, try whatever. Make a line between mindfulness and happiness. I mean, what actually mindfulness actually means? I mean, you enjoy the moment. You sit on the shore of a small river and enjoy the sun goes down. And I mean, and that's peaceful. And you focus only on that. And in a way, you're happy because you're just enjoying the moment. I mean, that's for me mindfulness, to say, I can enjoy the moment. I can enjoy nature. And I just focus on this and leave everything away, or what bothered me before, just to focus on the moment, right? And then that makes me happy and I find my inner peace. What is equal happiness?
Yeah, that's definitely mindfulness. And I also think there's also the mindfulness of noticing when it's like something is not good and being like really honest of that's happening in the moment. And I think there's a little bit of, the cultures, like Nicole was talking about Korea and, and also in the US, and there's definitely plenty of that, like work really, really, really hard, lots of hours, all this, and focus on something that's going to come tomorrow. And then it's like, it's a lack of mindfulness of how destructive that is and how much that's keeping us from those joyful moments. And then it's like the only way to have moments of what appears like happiness, to get all the happiness, the dopamines and the serotonins and all that is to be chemically induced, basically, right? Because it's like, because honestly, it's like if one was being mindful, it's like, oh my gosh, my life, there's such a tragedy that I've been missing out on so much. It's like there's some sadness and some grief to be felt to allow the joy to come through. And so it's one of those, like, I get why it is, but it's like, okay. Cause I know I've been on a journey of like, well, how do I get out of that, of, getting out of that cycle of work and then, use substances. And then it's like, okay, it's not like an overnight thing. And so, yeah, so I think it is like a culture thing. And then we also have our personal journeys. And yeah, is there a way that people can get more, regardless of where they came from, but get more into that state of mindfulness that like you're describing, Mickey, of that, just like, hey, when you're at the river, be at the river and enjoy the river.
I was thinking, since I do practice mindfulness, I see like a Thai monk every Tuesday here in Chicago. He's actually from Thailand. So he like really teaches us how to like really live in the present moment, like just to be able to, I guess I'm trying to think. He just says that like we have to be like very like mindful, like our breath, be very mindful of like, what we're thinking of like in that present moment. And yeah, that's the thing. It's difficult because I feel like we are human. We have like active mindset. Like we might have something to do later after like we're doing something or we're thinking about the past. So he just like really like lets us like fixate like on the present and what we have to do at this present moment in order to like achieve greatness in a sense. But I am still working on that as we speak. I haven't perfected it, but it is definitely a work in progress.
But
Oh
but
yeah.
but but, there, but there's two ways. I mean, if you really want to achieve something and you really focus on it and you're really in it, and then maybe you overdo it, and then on the other side, you're mindful. You're just doing the things what is necessary to do, but you don't overdo it. I mean, that's what we heard from when we had the other podcast from this basketball player who said when he how he holds the ball, does he hold the ball too hard? Then you're gonna lose it. But he hold it in the right groove. Then the game comes to him, and then he can make the pass. He can make the shoot. This is the same with life. To say if you're not if you're mindful and you look in inner peace, and then the life comes to us and things happening in a way we could do before like crazy, but it didn't happen, and now it's happened from itself. But we have the right mindset, right? So this is. I mean, it took me long life to figure this out, but I'm on the way to figure it out now. I'm happy about that.
That's true. And I also feel like there's an app, it's called Calm. Like you can download it. I think they have like a free trial or if you have to pay for it, but they also give you different activities on how to practice mindfulness and yoga tips, yoga positions, and listening to like beach waves or anything of that nature before you go to bed. So I really love the app Calm too, if you guys know of it or not.
I used it for 2 years actually.
Oh, very nice.
I got it for free for the first year, and some of the people are from Toronto. You know that?
And no idea.
So there's some of these guys who doing the daily sessions are from Toronto.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so I mean, yeah, there's another app like this Aura. So there are lots of these apps, right? But I listened to this for almost 2 years. Then I stopped it for some reason. But that gave me a good insight in mindfulness and how to deal also with difficult situations, how to overcome, fear or other things, right?
Well, there's so many apps, and then there also ends up being a lot of different terminologies, like, sort of depending, if you're going to do one of these, Western apps, it's all going to be sort of through the science of mindfulness. But then you can also come about it from, like the Buddhist traditions or yoga traditions. And so it can start to seem like, oh, this space is like so overwhelming and so complicated, and I'll never be able to, from my experience over many years of looking into many modalities, that they all kind of get to sort of like one underlying thing. And to me, it really is just like getting to, I think there's something of when we're experiencing untruths, that's a little bit disconcerting and leads to like, unhappiness, to dis-ease and disease. Whereas if we connect more with what we can actually know is true, then that can lead to a relaxation and chance of like getting all of our resources. And so then it's like, well, what is true? And it really is the only thing that is true is something that we are sensing in the moment right now. So it's like, right now you are hearing my voice. Like I could be saying complete nonsense, but the sound that you are hearing of my voice and like the quality and the tone, that is a true thing you're experiencing. And if you're like being able to watch the video, you can like be looking at the pattern of my shirt or, what my beard's like. And it's like, that is something true, or the breath, like that your body is expanding on an inhale, contracting on an exhale. Like these sensory things are true. And it allows us to sort of like cut through a lot of the lies that our brain likes to tell us. That's like, oh my gosh, like this is scary. This person's going to harm us. Or like, oh, we're not going to have enough money. Or like, oh my gosh, like I totally messed that up and they're never going to want to talk to me again. And it's like that It could be true, but it's also could be a lot. Like it's a complete fabrication, like anything on Netflix, right? That's not a documentary, but even the documentaries are often not true on Netflix and other places, right? So it's like we have these options to like go, have all these stories, and then it's when we dial into like a moment of truth of just like, oh, I'm feeling my fingers touching each other, or what does this fabric feel like? Then it's like, okay, I can calm down because I'm experiencing something true. What's maybe a better story that I want to tell? Because in some ways, we're all sort of like creators of the story of our own life. And it's kind of like, okay, well, what's the story we want to tell? Like we all have, based off our culture and our parents, we kind of have these stories that we got pre-programmed with.
Mhm.
And I think that's the fun of travel is we get to see like other stories that are possible. And then as a result, we get to start to go like, ooh, I like that idea. I like that idea, that idea. And I'm going to weave my own life story. And like, yeah, these mindfulness and like these touching in with the now is, to me, I feel it's sort of like the gateway to the possibility of, it's like the blank space. It's like getting to the blank canvas in a way.
But
Yeah.
but the point is, if you travel, you see other things, you meet
Mm-hmm.
other people, you meet other culture, and that's question where you come from. Just question it. What is actually better for you, right? You can come, you can live your life what you grow up, what you know, or you pick up all the good things what you discovered on your journey. I mean, that's what I have done, right? And then you
Same.
come
Yeah.
to this is my life, and yeah, I'm honest to myself, but also I focus on the moment and listen more to what my body says, not what my mind is spinning around, or what happened and if this person likes me or not, or if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, or if I make money with this or that. So it's just discover the moment and get at least a piece of it, and then you can see from a different point of view what's happening, and then maybe you don't even overact anymore and say it's come, so it doesn't come, and then it doesn't matter anymore because you are so relaxed that. And then that's again, that's how I see life should be. Just not overdo it, just let it come to you, and and then things happening, they happen, right? So I mean,
So I'll,
I made this experience again today. It's sometimes, yeah, so it's interesting, but it's every day new, and I like it. So
yeah, well, and I think what I'd agree with you, Mickey, is that the way you've been living life is the way I want to be living life, which is being open and trying new things and implementing what brings joy and being along for the ride. Or maybe I'll disagree a little bit. Is like I try to avoid saying that that's how it should be, because it's like there's some people that just they have no interest, and I'm like, hey, they want to see what life is like when you just do what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, that's a way to live life. It's not how I want to live it anymore. Um, Yet
but
I'm just
it's
like, hey,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
their choice. I will
hmm,
never say what I do is it's the only way. Of course not. That's my way. It's not a
yeah,
song. It is my way, right? And it's okay
absolutely.
if people don't like it and they can't do it, or they're even jealous that I'm doing it. Because that I have seen also. I'm good to connecting people, and wherever I go, I stay there for a while. Suddenly, all these people popping up remember me and want to talk to me. This is life, isn't it? And I don't fight this anymore. I just let it go because that's what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's okay. I mean, but it's not for everyone. I get it. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, because yeah, some people it's yeah meet somebody like you, Mickey, that's yeah a connector that's great at meeting people and all that stuff, and go like, oh, was this person like the whereas me, I'm just like I'm always happy to meet someone like you because I have such a hard time doing that and remembering who does this and all these connections, and I'm just always like I'm so grateful whenever a new connector type comes into my life because I'm like okay, great. There's about to be some, new cool people probably coming into my life. And um but yeah, not
Um,
everybody's able to see that. Yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
yeah, so I was also thinking too as well, like I was in that position where I thought I should do what everyone else did. And then I didn't plan anything at all. Like I was working as a college advisor and I went on vacation And my mom said, "Oh, there is a way for you to be able to work abroad." But I just like scoffed at the idea. I was like, "Mom, I'm not going to become an English teacher. Like, that's crazy. I didn't study education. None of my friends do it. I'm not going to do it." At the time, I was like 26 years old, right? So I didn't really know what I was going to do at that time. And then I decided, like, look over. I talked to my friend who did it, and she's like, "You should do it." She's like, "Just do it while you can. Like, you could do it at any age you want to." And I decided, yeah. And after that, I didn't stop. I kept just going and going. So it just became a very like addicting lifestyle. And I think it's just really easy to connect to people who are expats, who've lived abroad, or, you know, who maybe moved back and they still have those experiences. And it's just easier for me to connect to people who just like gets it. You know what I mean? People who just like that type of lifestyle, that type of adventurous lifestyle. Like it's very challenging, but it's also very stimulating too as well. And you're learning every single day, as opposed to like living in your like home country, your state, you know, the same exact thing. You're speaking the same exact language. You're speaking English all the time. But if you're like in Spain or if you're like in Thailand or Vietnam, like you're learning the language and every day it's just super challenging. And I like the challenge actually. I think it helps you really grow as a person and it really like shows you like what you're capable of. And I think it's important. It's all about self-discovery too as well.
Yeah, because I don't know, I keep finding it's like there's a lot of things I don't know if I like it or not until I try it or I'm exposed to it, and it's like
so yeah, you got to try it, and then that way you'll know.
Yeah, like even just this weekend, I was out having went to a coffee place with an old manager of mine, and he's goes and asks the barista, could I get a latte made with these two different teas, this tea and this tea, and could you make it into a latte? And the one woman was like, I have no idea. Let's go ask the more senior person. She was like, oh yeah, we can. I would have never thought to even ask. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. That you could say, I want two random teas made into a latte. I'm like,
mind blown.
Yeah.
For tea.
Yeah, and it's just cool. I don't know if I ever want to do that, but maybe I'll try it someday.
True. So.
Yeah. So it's is there any did we want to talk about any other topics, or what are we feeling like?
I mean, we have this NLP.
That's sure. Right. The neuro-linguistic programming. Yes.
Neuro-linguistic. So you said you went through this in a kind of coaching from these people, right?
Yes.
So what you learned about, I mean, because I know it only from the computer world, right? Not as a method for people. So maybe let's have a talk about this. We discover what it actually is.
Yeah. So a lot of, so many people might not be familiar with neuro-linguistic program. I'm trying to remember when it was developed. I can't remember. A couple of, I think, academic professors, it could have been in the 70s or the 80s, but probably most people's experience, if they've ever like heard of Tony Robbins or experienced Tony Robbins, like that is his thing. It's like, oh, Tony Robbins talks in a way that most people don't naturally talk. And it's because he's talking using these neuro-linguistic programming principles, which the basic idea is that sort of like how we talked inside our own internal dialogue is sort of like programming us, because it's like what we are saying internally is creating, internal pictures, sounds, and feelings, and then those are sort of going to drive like our behaviors and what shows up in our life. And so if we get mindful of that, and then we start to change it and use different words, do different terms, different patterns, then it's going to impact. We're going to start having different feelings and different behaviors, and our life is going to change. And so that's not just internally, but also if you talk to other people these certain ways, it's going to have an impact on how they feel and how they behave and things like that. And so this also can be used for like marketing and all sorts of things like that. And so I'm not surprised, because I didn't actually know this, but Mickey was pointing to that, I guess, like a lot of AI models, I guess, use this, which would make kind of sense, because the idea is that they're meant to replicate human intelligence as much as possible. And so they sort of use a model of how humans communicate and do things, which sort of makes sense.
And all what they want to do is they want to replicate the thinking of the brain, also the thinking of how natural languages that because this is now all on the forefront in a new realm, that they want to say, when you ask some question, that you just say it in your natural language, and then based on this, the computer understands this and give you the answer, right? And also based on the inputs, they learn about it to get even better with the answer. The more he does, it's like a child. The more learns vocabulary, the more vocabulary he knows, or everyone who learns a language, right? And they just want to replicate that now with artificial intelligence. But it's interesting what you said, the inner voice or the inner concept that drives. I mean, this drives actually how you also being seen from the outside. If you go and if you said, "Oh, I'm a loser and I'm not good," then the world sees you like this. But if you're the opposite, then something comes out of you, and everyone wants now to be with you because you have this positive mindset, right?
Yeah, and it's being aware of, well, what is my current mindset, and then, well, what would I like it to be? And then the other thing about us humans is that we're able to kind of, we infect not just, with viruses and bacteria, but with emotion and with ideas, right? Which is, to me, when I start to become aware, it starts to be like, there's places I don't want to go anymore because it's like, I don't want to take on the ideas or the emotions of certain people. Like, I used to be really into going to yoga. But now I am very careful of like what yoga classes I go to, because sometimes if like a yoga teacher is going to get up and start going like, oh, we all know how like difficult the world is and how depressing it can be and all the problems in the world. And internally I have to go like, that's not true. Like, I see lots of possibility in the world. I see like, but it's like, I have to consciously go like, I'm not going to take that on as a truth. But most people aren't even aware that thought is getting put into them. And so then it's like, oh, the world is tough. The world is challenging. It's like, and then people wonder why like the world seems tough and why the world seems challenging. It's because they've sort of been programmed. So that's why it's neuro-linguistic programming. It's like, it's what is our programming? Then how can we update the programming? And I did come up with, I did finally think of some like examples of like this programming, and then why it's important that like an AI should know it, because it's important for it to know like, well, what is the impact of language that it spits out? Because it's just, if it's just going to like pick random stuff, but it's like, oh, write something that makes people feel happy, but it has no idea of like what language patterns do that, and then just put something that is neutral or causes unhappiness. Like, that's not going to be a very helpful AI writer, right? And so one of the examples is would be like, something bad happens, right? Like we'll go to the lose your job, or you get divorced, and there might be the initial thought it might be like, why am I such a loser? And it's like, what is basically the mind that tries to answer any question, right? And so it's going to come up with all the reasons of like, why am I, well, you could be more attractive. Maybe you're not as smart. You could be making more money. And then what is that doing? It's just reinforcing that identity of being a loser. I always find it funny when it's like somebody goes like, oh my gosh, the most horrible thing happened to me today, and I'm feeling just awful about it. And it's like, what do most people ask in that situation?
But what you just said, I mean, you could see it also from the other side. Okay, you lose your job, you get divorced. Okay, so first of all, why you get divorced? And maybe there's someone better for you. It's a blessing. And the second, the same with the job. You lose your job. Maybe that was not a job, and you find another one who fits better to you, or you start your own thing. So you could always see it from both sides. I mean, yeah, something happened, but it's you how you take it, right? You can take it negative, or you can take it positive, right? So that's your choice again, right?
Well, it becomes your choice once you have the awareness that you can be asking yourself these other questions. And like, I love those things that you are like asking about, Mickey, because those brings up possibilities of ways that it might be actually more helpful to bring joy or more options to the situation. But a lot of people, they don't have that, and that's sort of one of the things that neuro-linguistic programming is trying to do is give people like more options. Usually, there's always ways some of this stuff could be used unethically to sort of like narrow down somebody's options to something that, is more manipulative. And you kind of see this a lot in politics, right? Where it's just like, oh, how can we make people see that the opposing side is the only option is that they are awful and they're going to do horrible things. Whereas our team is going to, make things great again. So, there's these tools are like any sort of tool. There can be like a shadow side, right? It's like a knife can, be used to do great surgery, but it can also be used to, harm as well, right?
But then come back to it again. You mean all of this, if you wanted to be happy, so then the way is to see it from the positive side. You mean, because if you see it not from that side, then it makes you not happy. So if your purpose is to be happy, then the inner voice and the inner view should be more happy, right?
Well, yeah. Well, this brings up another sort of aspect of, I'd say, neuro-linguistic programming is what ends up being the associations of different words, ideas, beliefs. Because for a lot of people, I'll ask each of you, like, so really quickly, fill in the bank, what are the top? Come up with like three additional words to come after this statement. Being happy is blank to me. So what are like three words that you want to fill that in with? Being happy is blank to me. Like come up with three versions of that sentence.
Enjoying life. Be mindful.
I think being financially stable and knowing that you have some financial security is really important too as well.
Okay. Okay. And see, so that one's a little bit of like, there's an aspect of that statement that's like being happy isn't necessarily easy. There's a dependency. And the thing is, there's zero right answer for any of this. It's just like being aware, so there's also the option of like being happy is selfish. And so like, right. Like, I don't know. I think I definitely had like, parents that might've had that, like being happy is selfish. And so then it's like, if there's that, and then it's like, well, then I can't have all of these other possibilities that lead to happiness because I don't want to, because being selfish is bad. I don't want to be bad. So therefore I can't be happy. None of this is true, but also there's no truth about, being happy. Being happy is my right. I mean, that can be, is it true? I don't know, but I'd rather it be true. If I can pick anything in my story, because again, like going back to like the mindfulness, the in the moment stuff, it's like the stuff we only know to be true is like what I'm experiencing right now, that I'm breathing, that I'm currently making noise, that I'm currently looking at Nicole shaking her head, and that I can feel the seat that my bottom is on. But otherwise, all these other things, we don't know if they're true or not, right? But it's like, what's going to give us the experience that we want? And it's like, I'd rather be happy, so I'm going to start to choose these patterns and these beliefs and things that support that. So like Mickey's got some great ones.
Yeah. I was also thinking too, as well, like in terms like the people that you meet that bring you happiness, like their different way of like thinking, of course, like their perspectives, if they practice like being like very grateful, like for example, I should start doing this more, but I have like a list of like being grateful for things like friends, family, water, shelter, etc. To be able to create like a list of like gratefulness, or just to have like a list of gratitude would be super important too as well. But I think it's just the people that make you feel like really happy. That could be it too as well. So I don't know.
Oh yeah. So, being happy is being with people that are uplifting
they lift you up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Nicole said it before me, but I wanted to say that also. To be happy, to be grateful what you have, and just even only with that, and then that's the start of happiness. And maybe it's not I'm driving the dream car of my life, but it doesn't matter. I'm happy that I'm still alive and I'm still here and have something to eat and meet some people and having this discussion with you guys. So just the simple thing, and the simple it is, the more happy I am. I mean, that's something, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's like you're grateful and And there's a little bit of, yeah, when the needs drop, then the more everything just starts to seem like a gift, right? Like, and I recently heard an argument, and I think maybe it's from like a Buddhist teaching that a human actually has zero needs. Everything is actually just a desire. And sometimes there's like, well, what about water? And it's like, well, you don't need water right now, like, right? You don't need it. You're fine. It's like, yeah, well, at some point you might, get dehydrated and die. And then the argument was like, well, but a dead person also doesn't need water. Like, it's like, yes, you would have a strong desire to have water because you want to live and you want to have these experiences. And it's just kind of an interesting thought experiment to think of, like, what's really neat, and to start seeing things as like a choice of desire of like, what do you want to experience? Like, I'd rather experience a lot of not being extremely thirsty so that I can enjoy my life. And then being grateful for the water and the things that allow us to have these experiences. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. What about this? This might be interesting too. It's all about like love, like when you find someone you love, like boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, or husband. But then sometimes you never know because people change. So that's also a little bit complicated too, as well, right? So it just depends on the people.
Oh, that can be a whole,
interesting topic, because why you started with that?
I know with the timing.
It's okay. I mean,
next week
is also.
We can bend that for February.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah.
No, I mean, I want to have to say now something because you brought it up. I mean, the less you get attached to someone, and that's again my opinion, my take on it. Then, and that works for me. Then the easier is this kind of relationship, because then it's actually less complicated. And the more I can be myself, then it also the better is this relationship. Because I came out of relationship where I not was myself, and then I just said, that's not good for me, I have to go.
Exactly. It works,
yeah.
Of course.
So, and then you mentioned this word love. So the love to yourself should be greater than the love to someone else, because it starts with you, right? I mean, and if you not love yourself, then how you can love someone else, right?
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the good news, bad news. It's all up to you or me or us. Yeah.
You have to make sure like you're stable yourself before like you get in a relationship with somebody or you love somebody, because you have to like really know like what you value and just have people like, work upon yourself and whatever issues someone's facing. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Cause the world reflects us. So it's sort of like someone crazy comes in. It's like, okay, what part of me is crazy or allowing crazy or whatever that is. And so then it's like, and I've definitely seen this. It's like, as I work on myself, become more aware and more conscious about, how I am, how I feel about myself, how I love myself, then it's like the people that I connect with romantically is completely different. Like, it's just like, it's like, oh, it's going to just be joyous and loving and beautiful, and doesn't have to be fighting and stress and worry. And, it's I think we probably have a whole conversation on that. So
we should.
It's good. Yeah. I think we're almost to like an hour. So I don't know, maybe any last words maybe to,
after this is very difficult to say some last words, but I mean, we covered an interesting ground, and everyone goes on his own journey. So that's what I believe in. And this is why it's interesting to have this conversation, to just share everyone's experiences. And I hope our listeners can take something out of it from all what we said. I mean, if they're in a situation where they're just to go back and focus on the basics and focus on themselves. And then you find the mindfulness and also the inner peace. So that's my final statement.
I agree
I
too
love
as
it.
well. I think what Mickey said is completely true. And again, just like loving yourself before you put yourself in a relationship and just sorting out whatever problems you're facing. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll just say that, like, a lot of these things are not complicated. They're simple, yet simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. And all of these things become a lot easier when you work with other people. And, it's like you're
Exactly.
listening to things that support where you want to go. You're with people that support what you want to be experiencing. And so if you're, not having that support, reach out or do something different. Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same thing. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, you're going to keep getting the same reactions. And yeah, so I think it's really fun that we kind of went through the happiness to the mindfulness to the neuro-linguistic programming and a little bit on love, which I think if we bring love into everything, that also makes it a lot easier too. And it's so good to see both of you again and chat. And yeah, I'm like, we could probably go another hour, but I'm trying to we already waited, the last one was an hour 10, and I think we're still gonna be close to an hour on this one. So
Okay. We definitely covered a lot of ground. So we have a lot of very useful content and information too as well. Absolutely.
hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to check out Mickey on Instagram at MickeySDT. And you can find Nicole also on Instagram by going to her page, which is at Nicole Rose Travels the World. Remember to also follow me at Justin Wink, Ph.D. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And so with that, remember to like, follow, subscribe, rate me 5 stars, and appreciate it. And good day.